Hello, and welcome to the Katona, Bedford Hills, Bedford Village Arts League launch, otherwise known as Cabal. Welcome to cabal.org, and I am Deirdre Breen. I'm on the board of Cabal, and my role is to enhance the consciousness of creativity. And what this next hour workshop is all about is helping to deepen into our understanding personally of what is creativity, how do we create, and can we better identify with ourselves as creators, as creative, because creativity is an expression of our vitality. And we all want to be vital. To be creative feels good, and it brings the body, the mind, and the spirit of us together in a state of union, of yoga. I am a yoga teacher and a health coach and a whole bunch of other things, and I bring all of that in service to Cabal, to my Katona town where I was raised, to help you and help me meet 2021 with a quality of we're here, we're vital, and we're figuring out how we want to express ourselves. So whether you're a professional artist of some kind, or whether you're an individual who kind of feels stuck and unsure, even if they wouldn't use the word creative to describe themselves, everybody come and let's get ready. So what you're going to need for this next hour, and if you don't have it, just pause me, this is recorded, and go get yourself a candle, a glass of water, something to smell, and then something that you love, an item that when you look at it, you just love it. Maybe it's a statue, it needs to be mobile because you need to bring it here with you, but go get those things and then come back. Also make sure that you're not too full or too hungry. And if you are either of those, take care of that so that creativity is about generating a sense of inner contentment to express from. So if you're hungry or full, that contentment isn't the kind we're talking about. We want that just right quality to deepen in. Also, if I didn't say that you want to have a journal and a pen, please get that as well. Okay, you paused me and now we're back and you have everything that you need. So here we go. We're going to start anew. Gaze at your candle flame as you listen again to the sound of this bell. Focusing your attention on light. Slowing your breath down and watching how the candle is moving. Fire is always moving, and what we want to generate is a steady, safe, reliable fire, inner light, inner awareness to know where we are, how we are, who we are, and to create, to express from that grounded, centered place is very profound. People create things in all states of being, but this, my role, is to expand the understanding of what is creativity. What is creativity and what is the consciousness of creativity? And how can you, even if you're not creative, so to speak, in the way that you might think creative, if you're not an artist that's a professional artist, you're still creative. Life is creative. Life is so creative that it creates every person to be individual. Some have brown skin, some have black skin, some have white skin, some have more yellow skin and olive skin and whatever, right? Some have brown hair, blue hair, curly hair, black hair. Life is creative. So say to yourself, right now, I can't hear you, maybe nobody can hear you. Can you say, okay, Deirdre, I'm following you. I am creative. Okay. Now, why did I ask you to get something that you love? I love this scarf. Right? I love this scarf because of who gave it to me. I love this scarf because they must have known that I love these colors. Goes beautifully with my olive sweater and my green. Look at this. I love it. So as you look at what you love, take a minute and appreciate it. You love it, therefore it's moving you in some way. What's being moved? So I want to give you a moment of quietude. Creativity does require some centering and some stillness before the creation begins. So you're reflecting on what you brought to look at that you love. And what is it that moves you about it? As you're looking, holding perhaps what it is that you love, we're going to start appreciating our five senses, which is actually in the process of a human being coming into being. It's the power of the fire. It's the power of the space of creation. It's the power of the substance, the earth and the water of creation. It's the power of breath that moves everything. So I'm going to take you slowly through each of our senses and help you recognize that as creators, as creative, we're going to probably lean into one sense or another. Right? So what I loved because of what I saw and what I felt. Some of you might have looked into something that you could smell, right? Or the shape of it just really captures you, the space that it occupies. So creativity is about the senses, not only how you appreciate creativity, but how you express it. So fire equals sight because it's the light of fire that allows us to see. So I want you to notice your sense of sight and look around your space and notice the things you can notice. Color, order, chaos, cleanliness, filth maybe. Close your eyes now. And what do you see? You still have sight, even though your eyes are closed, because consciousness is your inner light. You close your eyes and you're still aware. You can open your eyes or close your eyes as I continue with you. Now I want you to hear. So eyes closed or open, besides my voice, what can you hear? Hearing and listening are different. you use your sense of hearing, but then you add that ability with your mental focus to choose what to listen to. Maybe there's 3 or 4 sounds that you can hear right now, but which one are you going to tune into to listen to? Power of the mind over the senses. And you focus on the bell. Leave everything else out. Now close your eyes again. And make your breath just audible enough to hear. Use the power of your mind to focus on your sense and listen to your breath. You can draw it slower and closer to you to be able to create a sound to listen to. All that creative power you have in this moment. And now let's jump from listening to feeling. Feel your breath. Feel the texture and quality of it as it comes into you. And then notice, how is that different as it leaves you? This isn't your breath. It is breath. But you don't own it. And you can't hold on to it for very long without bursting. So be the receiver of the creative force that animates your body. See how creative you already are. Now watch how the breath changes the shape of you. Slow your breath, take it in, look at yourself, and see how the breath moves you. It changes the shape with every half cycle. Inhale, your body moves. Exhale, it moves again. Hopefully, inhale, your belly expands. Exhale, your belly contracts. If it's the reverse, you need to call me because that's reversed breathing, and yogically, I can help you correct that. Because having a reverse breath is fighting the tide of life itself. You're supposed to expand. Your belly's supposed to soften, and your diaphragm is supposed to, in optimal health, drop down and let the prana in to animate your being. And then optimally, as you exhale, the diaphragm lifts up and your belly hollows out, and that diaphragm is emptying the lungs and freeing the heart. So you're creative because as this is happening, your organs are coordinating and dancing with each other. Now I asked you to bring something to smell. So go ahead and reach for what you got to smell. And if you forgot that part, just smell your hands. I put aromatherapy on my hands so I can smell that. And I washed my hair. I can smell that. And I can smell my sweater. What do you smell? I can smell the aromatherapy in my room. Now, taste. What is there to taste? And now touch. So as I rub this sweater and my mind is choosing for my hand to feel, but then my mind can choose to feel my arm. It can't feel my hand and arm really at the same time. My mental focus has to land somewhere. We're going to use that mental focus in just a little bit to dive into some creativity, but this is to help show you I'm feeling my hand. I'm feeling my arm. I'm feeling my arm and it's being stroked by movement, but my focus is in my arm. Now my focus is back on my hand. It's easier to feel my hand than my arm because this is the thing that I'm moving. And yet, if I access my power of concentration and focus, I can feel my body. When you get massaged by somebody else, you feel the body being massaged. But when you massage yourself, there's all that going on. Okay, so now we have gone through our senses. And the senses are what capture the mind's attention, right? We just went through our 5 senses, capturing our mind's attention. Wow. Focusing on the senses helps the mind become present. Focusing on the senses brings the mind into the body. And that's where we're going to create from. Now let's think about how we automatically are creative, whether we think we are or not. Okay, so I chose the things that I'm wearing and how to cut my hair and how to apply my makeup. That's in a creative expression. I chose what to eat this morning and what to drink this morning. I'm choosing and regulating my voice and my movement to keep your attention on me because I'm offering a workshop. So I got to be a little bit dynamic to hold your attention. But maybe if I had a voice, I'd sing to you. We're going to get up and move a little bit in just a moment because movement, as we saw, the movement of the breath animates the body. And then we can add the mind to it and start to move. And we're going to generate some energy in the spine to help bring us, like this behind me, into an alignment where we will learn to create from. Especially for those who might be watching this, who've never thought of themselves as a creative being in person, stay with this because a quality of your aliveness, your vitality, your being is starved to be acknowledged and express itself. And if you happen to be stuck, you're stuck up here in your mind. And if you're stuck up here in your mind, you're going to get stuck in your stomach and your digestion and your elimination and your respiration. You're going to stay stuck. And I'm going to help you get unstuck because life needs you. The world is incomplete without your expression. And the more you can find your center, you can then express from. Okay? We can write, we can perform, we can be physical, we can make love, that's very expressive. We can paint, we can garden, we can cook. We do all of these things, maybe not all of them, but they are creative acts. And if you're stuck cooking the same thing in the same way, try on something new. If you're dressing in the same way, in the same clothes and whatever, try on something new, etc., etc. Okay, so here we go. We've got to explore some of the movement, which is creative. Okay, so your spine moves in 6 directions. It's only 6. We don't want it moving in any more than 6. Okay? And your spine, like what's behind me, is like a ladder with its layers and space in between its layers. As we age, that space gets less and then we have pain. So what we need to do to stay vital is to keep the ladder of the spine anchored at one end and lifting from the other. This is where some yoga practices come in really handy, because daily life, you might not always balance out flexion, extension, lateral movements, rotations. Right? These are all aspects. So I'm going to invite you to stand up with me now. If you're sitting, alley-oop, come stand up. I'm going to press back so you can see the all of me, for better and for worse. Here I am, and I want you to stand and feel front of you, back of you, arms of you, head of you. Now, here we go. I'm standing sideways so you can see my heart's going to lift up, and I'm going to put my body into an extension. And then I'm going to bend my knees, put my hands on my thighs. I'm going to hollow out my belly. Watch my back round. Now I'm in a flexion. Ta-da! Extension, flexion. Inhale, exhale. 2 of the movements of the spine. Keep doing that on your own. Extension, flexion, extension, flexion. Stand and pause, and just allow the breath that animates you to move. Feel vital. Feel expressive. Expressive, vital, creative. They're all synonymous. Now, as you're standing, I'm going to stay here on the ground because you can't see the all of me that way. But you're standing, and I want you to raise one arm up and come back down. Raise the other arm up and come back down. Raise both arms up and either interlace, hook your thumbs together. You can bend your elbows if your shoulders are tight. And then I want you to tick-tock, side to side. This is 2 more, the lateral movement of the spine, which opens the rib cage. And if the rib cage is stuck, you can't get the breath into you. So this is a very important movement. Come back to your center, lower your hands down, and close your eyes if you can, or stand and feel the movement. Movement of the breath, movement of the body. Usually when we go to stretch, unless you're a yogi meaning you practice yoga, although not everybody that practices yoga is a yogi, because sometimes they're in poses pushing themselves into extreme, going for that edge all the time, which is wonderful, but we don't necessarily want to call that yoga if it's a real push. Right? Yoga doesn't push anything. It doesn't pull anything. It doesn't twist anything. Yoga begins where you are. It never ends. It's not a pose. So now bring your hands up on top of your head. Open your elbows as wide as they can be. If you have tight shoulders, your elbows might be here. But do your best to soften your shoulders. And then you just very, very mildly press your head up into your hands and rotate right and left. Why are we doing this? Because we are helping to release the tension that collects on the spinous erector muscles, which don't allow the spine to move. And if the spine isn't moving, your creativity is going to be diminished greatly. Your spine is where it's at. It's the center of you. It's your nervous system. If you're nervous, how do you express yourself? If you're safe and steady, how do you express yourself? Are there differences there? Indeed, there are. When you're tense and frightened, how do you breathe? What's creative in being tense and frightened and shallow of breath? You are creating something. It's called tension and toxicity. If we slow down, take care of the spine, slow our breath, then we come back into that center line of our body, home to the self, and then let's walk back through our senses. Right here, right now. Come back to sit down. Allow your breath to move. Not your breath. Allow breath to move. I'm making the point that it's not your breath, aren't I? Allow breath to move in and out of you, however it's going to create movement and flow. See if you can sense from the base of you up through the center of you, can you feel your spine inside there somewhere? Some of our body-mind connection isn't very strong, so it's really hard to identify something that we can't see, feel, and touch, and inside of us we can't see. We might be able to feel it, we can't touch it. But we can actually touch it when we go into a gentle rotation and hug our belly. We can touch our internal organs with a sense of collecting. And then can we release them? And we can pump consciousness into ourselves by strengthening body-mind connection and then expressing vitality from there. So, close your eyes. Listen to your breath. Feel your breath. Moisten your lips and taste. Open your nostrils, sniff and smell. Sigh and hear your own voice. Open your eyes and gaze at your candle flame. And now I'm going to ask you to pick up your pen and your journal. I'm going to play this bell a little bit, and I want you to journal on a couple of prompts. And your first prompt is, how do you feel about my inviting you to consider yourself a creative being? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10, I accept that. Deirdre, I already knew that. Or 1, you still haven't convinced me. Not that that's my job. Notice where you're at, and then write a little sentence about it. How do you feel about being asked to accept that you are a creative being? How does it feel to hear me state that the world is incomplete without you in it? And we all belong until we die. And then we belong to another part of the consciousness of the world, of the universe. And I acknowledge as I say that we've all lost people. And so the world is incomplete without you, and maybe your world is incomplete without someone you've lost. So allow yourself the creative expression of acknowledging that loss. And just scribble on the side something that you loved and continue to love about the person who's no longer here. Your senses. What do you know about yourself, and do you have a favorite sense? How do I know that, Deirdre? I don't know if I have a favorite sense or not. Put yourself in your imagination to a favorite place in nature. Where are you? Write it down. My favorite place in nature is. Are you in the mountains? Are you at the beach? Are you in the desert? Are you in the water? Are you in the sky? Now close your eyes and be there. So you have memory. Your favorite place in nature is your favorite because you spent a lot of time there, perhaps. So close your eyes and remember, open up the file of being there. And as you're there, is it what you're seeing that moves you? Is it what you're feeling that moves you? Smelling, tasting, touching. What senses come alive in that space in nature? And now bring yourself back to your current environment and use the sense that you've identified. Well, Deirdre, it's sight or it's touch or whatever it is. And now look around your space. Is that favorite sense that you love out in nature, is that respected and nourished and expressed in your physical space? If it's your sight, look around. Is what you're looking at pleasing? And what could you do to make it just that much more pleasing? Are your walls painted the color that you like? Is the texture there for you? Is the light, color of light there for you? Identify something that you can do to have your environment express that sense of sight that is so activated in nature. Now, if it's texture, you're out in nature and you love the feeling of the sand or the feeling of the ocean, the water, or the smell of the salt, or you're climbing the mountains and wow, it's your breath that's really moving and vital. I'm inviting you to somehow take those sensations that are outside in nature and bring them into your home to vitalize your environment and to be environmental triggers that I'm imbuing, imposing, introducing for you as triggers that I am a creative being and I create through my senses. I experience life through my senses, and I want to wake my senses up to please me. Not me, you. We have senses, and they are to be pleased in moderation. Any sense that's overly pleased, we're heading into addiction domains there. But the senses are pleasing. So have your just right senses. Sight, smell. Smell is really about cleanliness. Something that is fresh and pleasing is very alive and clean. Something that is stale, stagnant, and putrid doesn't smell very good. So if smell is your sense, get into that refrigerator and clean it out. Get into that car and clean it out. Get to the laundry and clean it up. Freshen up as a creative expression. Smell. How does your place smell? What could you do to make it smell better? Bergamot. My aromatherapy is releasing bergamot, which is very soothing to the nervous system. If you want to know about aromatherapy and how it affects the mind and the blood-brain barrier and all those things, contact me. I can teach you about that. Touch. Is your space warm? Is it cold? Is it sterile? Is it crowded? You can't even take a full breath? Is it so empty that you can't feel really grounded? So these are the ways, using your senses to ground into your living space and have your living space be an environmental trigger to your creative expression, to your creative being. We are all creative beings. You need not be stuck. You can breathe yourself into movement. You can take care of your spine in its 6 directions. There's lots of online yoga classes. I teach yoga classes. Take a safe, gentle, get to know my spine class. Don't push, don't pull, don't twist, but awaken your body's energy and the mind-body connection to create greater expression, greater creativity, so that you can join Katona, Bedford Hills, Bedford Village Arts League and be a vital member of our creative community, because we need a community. We need a sense of belonging. And that's creative too, because if I belong, that means that there's give and take. We don't belong to something that's one-sided. Belonging is a quality of the heart and mind, and it means that I've contributed and I've received. Give and take that pulses through the hands from the heart and lungs. Give, receive, belong, offer. We are all creative beings. Creativity is an expression of our vitality. We can create a vital community by learning how to participate in Cabal, Katona, Bedford Hills, Bedford Village Arts League, cabal.org. We have launched today, January 12th, and our launch, 13th, and our launch continues for the 14th and 15th, and this video will be live for a few days. I am Deirdre Breen. Thank you so much for joining me in exploring our creative expression. Good day.